Hey everybody, it's the Rant again. We're recording our 8th episode, and guess what? I got Josh with me today. Say hi to everybody, Josh.
Sup?
Short and to the point, that is Josh in a nutshell. By golly, you gotta respect that. So, this time around, folks, we're gonna chat a little bit about the stupid gripes that we keep seeing videos on YouTube involving video games and stuff like that, and truthfully, we think it's hurting the industry at this point because we feel like these stupid little videos where people are nitpicking on one specific aspect of a game is the kind of stuff that gets developers in this frame of mind of, oh, well, people want this instead of a good game, and we think it's just detrimental. And we're going to chat about that a little bit. And Josh is going to be kind enough to fill us in on a new comic series that he's enjoying the hell out of. So, that's our intro, folks. Let's just dive in because we're both really friggin' tired, and this is the second time we've tried to record this tonight.
I just gotta praise the internet gods, and hopefully they'll keep me running.
The internet god. I don't have the energy to do the, safe internet dance. Hey, oh yeah, whatever. I don't know. Do I burn a laptop and dance around it? I don't know how to do this.
Well, you get a Nokia phone.
Get a Nokia phone.
You throw it at your router, and I don't.
Oh, right, that one, the internet violence chant. Okay, I remember that one. Although the version I heard, you threw an Xbox 360 that red ringed at, anybody within range. You just threw it at them. Hopefully it was a Best Buy employee, but, that's beside the point. We're getting off topic.
No, can I help you, sir?
It red ringed, you bastard! Fix it! You're Geek Squad, fix it! Alright, so, as of late, I've been coming across a lot of videos on YouTube that, in my opinion, nitpick on the dumbest little shit possible when it comes to current video game titles and consoles. And recently I came across one that did a frame rate comparison for The Witcher 3. The comparison was for the PS4, the Xbox One, and two PC versions, one with one high-end graphics card and a second PC rig with two high-end graphics cards. And of course, the PCs are running at 40 and 60 frames a second kind of deal, but they're PCs. If you want to dump the money in and get those results, fine. But the Xbox One and the PS4 are both running at about 30 frames. The difference being that every once in a while the PS4 hiccups a little bit and drops from 30 to 29. This was the bitching point in the video, that it dropped one frame every once in a while, and you visually could not tell the difference, to be honest. It was one of those videos where they had gameplay footage all next to each other in a row, and you could see the exact same scene going on, just, on the different platforms. I think this is fucking stupid, and I think this is the kind of crap that developers hear about, and it sets them off on a course that makes a shitty game overall, because they think, well, everyone gives a shit about frame rate and how pretty it is. They don't care if the game content is amazing and it has a story and, that it plays at all. They just want it to look pretty. Josh, am I alone in my little ranting obsession here, or do you agree that this is dumb shit that people are picking on?
Well, I wholeheartedly agree that it is dumb shit that they're picking on. I mean, there's tons of games, not only The Witcher, but there's tons of games that people just nitpick everywhere around it because they just can't they can't find anything else wrong with the game, so they have to go and pick up the little pins and go, oh yes, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Most recently, Metal Gear Solid has been getting shat on so hardcore by, I don't know why, a lot of these game reviewer sites, or people on YouTube, and, I mean, I don't understand, they take, one mission from the game, and they're like, oh, this mission stunk, so the game is less. It's like Konija just, drop the ball here. It's like, there are 120 some missions to do, and you pick this one to bitch about, and that's why you're bringing the game down in score. I just don't understand it. I really don't.
Yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous to focus. You know what? Truthfully, to me, that says that asshole, that was the only mission he could beat, was the one that was fucked up and easy or something, like, he tried 98 other missions, this is the first one he could beat. He's like not a gamer, he's one of those assholes that picked it up because everybody at work had the game, and they're like, oh, it's so awesome, and he wanted to be included in that circle. But I feel like this is the dumb shit, though, that every time a game comes out that is, frankly, it's awesome. It's a work of art, like Metal Gear is, and like The Witcher is, and the developers hear about this crap, and they think that this is what's important to the gamers. Because, unfortunately, on the internet, the only fucking people that are voicing anything are the ones that are shitting on something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you ever remember going online and reading a review that was good of something? Like you go to Amazon, there's like one good review out of like 300 bad ones for like anything.
I know. I can't really think of the last time. I mean, I don't really go and look for reviews, but the last time I did go and look for one, I could not find anything really positive. It was all people nitpicking things.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's weird, is half the time I feel like the review of stuff doesn't even apply. Like, they're angry at something else. Like, I forget what I was looking at the other day on Amazon, but one guy was bitching about, I think it was like a Chinese knockoff of like an action figure or something like that. And the guy was bitching about that it was a piece of shit. And the thing is, he gave a really bad review to the guy that sold him the item. Well, it's not that guy's fault. That's the item he got a hold of. Yeah. It's the manufacturer's fault for that item. So why are you punishing it? It's the same situation with games. The wrong message is being sent out everywhere, and it's affecting a lot of people. And I mean, if you're going to nitpick on that level on games, then you're giving the green light to all of these asshole studios that are doing crowdfunding now, because they're so desperate to make sure that they can finish this shitty game that nobody wants, that they're asking people to pay for it twice, essentially. I mean, like, I don't know about you, but I have not seen a crowdfunding thing yet that said, oh, well, donate $100 and you get a free copy. I've never seen that.
Oh, well, I really, it's very rare to see something like that. But like the new Rare studio with the ukulele that they're designing, I mean, they've gotten the money and they're just working on the game now. And they're putting out, updates every so often. So like, progress is happening, and the game's going to eventually come out. You just don't know when. But I mean, they are giving away free copies of the game if you give them like $50, or they had collector's editions. They had an N64 cartridges they were giving out with original N64 like box art too, which was pretty cool. But that's in like the thousands range, and you have to go. I'm using American money; they're using euros or I'm sorry, pounds, and you have to convert it. So $1,000 here is actually 1,500 there or something like that. Yeah, so I mean, but like it's very rare that you find a company on like a GoFundMe or something that will give you a free copy of the game with your, donation, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in cases like that, I think crowdfunding is okay. Plus, that's that's like a Banjo-Kazooie game, right? Ukulele.
Yeah, it's a 3D open world.
Okay, see that's a proven series. Like unless they have like nobody from the original development team or anything left over from the original games, I don't see them fucking that up. I see that as a worthwhile cause, But I can't tell you how many times on like Steam I've seen these shitty little startup crowdfunding games that like you look at the progress that they've already got on it and you're like, dude, you've already been given $50,000, and this is what you got? I mean, I'm sorry, I kind of feel like I could shit in a box, and I call it more progress than that.
And the ones that really kill me are the ones that actually make it to this, like, they go green light, and then they get actually released. Like, there's Rock Simulator and Grass Simulator, and and all these stupid simulators that get funded and they get released because people are stupid, and they're like, oh, this would be funny if Rock Simulator came out. It's like, who's going to buy that except for people making stupid videos on YouTube and being all stupid? There's no other way to describe them. They're just being stupid.
You know, you just connected a line for me there. You might have a point. The retarded people that, you know, the morons that bitch about the one little thing with a game that is wrong and say the whole game is shit as a result. I'm betting you're right. Those are the people that love, like, Goat Simulator and that crap.
Oh, God.
It's like, oh, dude, I just dumped $50 into Goat You want to run that by me again? $50 on Goat Simulator. Get the fuck out of my house.
Goat Simulator really started all this shit, too. I mean, if it wasn't for Goat Simulator going quote-unquote viral, I think we wouldn't have seen such a surge of all these terrible greenlit games. Because it was called Goat Simulator, but it wasn't actually a Goat Simulator. And just like Grass Simulator isn't really about Grass Simulator, you fucking pull out a gun and you can shoot things in Grass Simulator. It's like, I didn't buy it. I watched a YouTube video. Don't
judge him. No first-hand experience here. This is third-person experience. It's quite removed from reality.
So I mean, it's just a plague. It's just a plague rolling over our good gaming community.
You know, I almost wonder if a small portion of the people that are, you know, actually paying for dumbass games like Goat Simulator, I wonder if these people are so desperate for a good title that they're like, oh, fuck it, $5 on Goat Simulator. Please let it be good. Please, please. You know, that kind of desperation would freak me out, but still, there's just no other way to say it. People are nitpicking over things that they have no business nitpicking on it. You know, I mean, I am trained in animation and in computers. I couldn't tell the difference between 29 frames and 30 frames a second. And I know what to look for. So I don't understand how some dude who's sitting in his, you know, basement or game den or whatever, you know, is complaining about this. I just don't get it. And I mean, you know, the thing that irritates me is this actually starts a little bit back on the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation. Everybody got upset that the PS3 titles, all of them, were 720p. Like, none of them were 1080. The system just couldn't handle 1080. And everyone thought the 360 was superior because everything was 1080. Well, here's the thing. It wasn't native 1080. The 360 was designed around an upscaling concept. So the majority of games on the 360 were 720 as well. They just get upscaled, so everything says 1080 on the box. Which, you know, was kind of retarded to do because the console wasted processing power it really didn't have to upscale shit.
Right.
You know, I would rather the game be in a slightly smaller resolution, which, by the way, 720 still looks pretty damn nice, even on an oversized TV. I would rather the console run the game smoothly at that than be obsessed that it's at 1080. And unfortunately, as we were just stating, the developers and the console manufacturers listen to all the dumb people that bitch about this shit. And now the PS4, everything is hard locked at 1080. And unfortunately, this is kind of brilliant, and it's the opposite for the Xbox One. It has some, I don't remember what the full gist of it was, but essentially it scales up and down to adjust to make sure that the frame rate stays, you know, within a certain area. Like if it's set for a 30 frames a second run, then it upscales down, or it downscales and upscales to match the hardware needs at that moment. Which, you know, kind of cool, but again, sounds like it might be wasting processing power on stuff. Either way, I dare you to prove that you can tell the difference between 29 frames a second and 30 frames a second.
Yeah. I'm sure not too many people could actually see that. Guarantee it. And like I said before in a different rant, I mean, we're so spoiled with graphics nowadays that people are forgetting where we came from. And like when I see a new game, I don't automatically jump on the graphics wagon. I look at the game as itself, and then I go, okay, if you know the rest of the game's good, but the graphics are lacking, then I'll bitch about the graphics. But if you have top-notch graphics, I mean, you don't get any points knocked off for, a slight dip in frame rate.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this guy wasn't rendered correctly.
Plus there's so many things that can affect frame rate, Like, not just what's going on in the game. I mean, all the current consoles and computers all have internet connections to support at the same time, usually for that game. Well, if that gets bogged down, the machine will get bogged down as well.
Yeah.
Like, the PS4 has an always-on internet connection. I mean, granted, you can turn it off, but you actually have to go into the menus and find the, turn off internet connection tab. And most people aren't going to bother to do that. Most people aren't going to even know they can do that. Because let's face it, nobody really goes in depth on this stuff anymore. Nobody actually stops and thinks. They see something or they hear something and they just want to bitch about it because it doesn't meet their standard. And it's just all of these little things are adding up to a lot of bad games being made nowadays, and it pisses me off. And the only studios that can get around this are the giant ones like EA that eat every other studio that makes anything good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as I was telling you just before we started recording, I had a small panic attack earlier because I found out about a rumor that, thankfully was disproved recently, but a couple of weeks ago there was a rumor flying around that EA was going to buy CD Projekt Red, the studio that makes the Witcher series my favorite fucking game. Josh will concur with me on this. When they bought BioWare, they destroyed Mass Effect.
Yeah, completely.
That was like that game was my love affair. That was like my favorite fucking game of all time when it first came out. And I can't even tell you how many times I ran through the first one. And literally by the second one, EA had their fingers on BioWare, and it just immediately I was like, this isn't Mass Effect. It's still good, but it's not Mass Effect. And then the third one was just fucking Gears of War with a different paint job. Thank you, EA.
Right, yeah.
I mean, truthfully, I'm freaking out a little bit about the new Mirror's Edge game that comes out, a year from now or something.
Yeah.
Because since the last one came out, EA bought DICE. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's going to be a multiplayer mode that is heavily dependent in that series now, some weird shit like, oh, well, there's 87 different endings, and you can only unlock one of them by running through the game. You have to get the other 86 by playing multiplayer until your thumbs bleed.
Or by downloading our DLC. Don't laugh.
Yeah,
it's closer to the truth.
Yeah, there's evil shit, EA. I used to be a fan of EA, but I feel like this is a monopoly now. Like they buy every studio that makes something awesome because they want to absorb the talent, but then they restrict that talent to working within a certain structure that they have, which is pretty much like every game has to have a shitload of DLC and multiplayer has got to be the focus. It's just,
that's about their formula.
Truthfully, I don't understand why EA is making money. I really don't. Like
the last people buy their games.
I know, but how is everybody else okay with everything? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever met anybody that said multiplayer was their biggest, desire on a game? Like that's what they look for? Because truthfully, I haven't.
Oh, I have. I've met a few people.
Okay, are we talking Call of Duty fans?
No, well, they do play Call of Duty, but they always want the multiplayer. And actually, my good friend Nick is always looking for a multiplayer. If there's no multiplayer in a game, he doesn't enjoy it as much because he can't play with me at the same time, which is kind of cute, but it's like, if the game doesn't need multiplayer, I'm not going to bitch because it doesn't have a co-op or a multiplayer mode.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy multiplayer, but it has a time and a place. Like co-op is a form of multiplayer that I enjoy, and that is almost never present. It seems like multiplayer has somehow distilled down to PvP. Like one guy beating the shit out of another guy. Just for digital bragging rights. I'm not entirely sure why that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're getting paid for it, alright, fine, brag. But I mean, dude, I beat the shit out of 15 people last night.
2 of them were 12 years old. There was one 8-year-old in there.
4 of them were telling me about how they live with their mom. It was great. My self-esteem has never been higher. Like, whoa, all right. Therapy sessions, those still going for you? No, stop going to that. Like, all right, that explains it. I felt like we were gonna rant on this shit, and I was gonna feel better, and I don't now. Now I just feel more like pissed off and drained. Right. You know, why don't we move on to comics while there's a shred left of my soul?
Yeah, Captain.
So, tell us about the which comic series was it you were?
It came out in the last wave, not the last wave, the 2 waves ago for the New 52, which was the one that had well, it doesn't matter. Gotham by Midnight is the one comic book series that everyone should probably be reading if you love comics, because it's really good. There's really nothing else to say about it. I mean, the art is fantastic. This last comic book that came out 2 weeks ago, it was such a big turning point for the whole thing. I'm not going to give anything away because it's a huge, huge, huge turning point for the comic book series. The comic book stars Jim Corrigan, who is the detective who also houses the Spectre inside of him. So there's a lot to play with that. He has a team of officers who aren't really police officers. They're more like hired staff. There's a nun. There's a scientist. There's a woman who can sense when someone's about to die or something bad's going to happen. And there is a guy named Rook who is from the Maine police department who has to come in, and he's like, oh, we think there's corruption in this wing of the police force. So the whole first, I'd say 5 or 6 issues of it is just them trying to get him to see that this isn't a wasted time. You know, there are actually, evil spirits at work inside Gotham, and they're trying to hold them back. I'm not going to give away too much about it, but he ends up not believing that it's worth having the precinct. I'm sorry, the night shift, or the midnight shift, I guess you would call it. Mm-hmm. And he's launching a full investigation in the second part of this in the series right now. So it's really starting to tense up, and there's tons of evil things at work right now, and it's all kind of mushing together into a very nice story. And the artwork, like I said, it's amazing. I love the artwork that the artist does. The story is top notch. I wish more people were buying it, because if that comic book series goes away, I'm going to be pretty sad, because it is really good, really good. I mean, it's a comic book series that's based in the Batman universe, but Batman showed up once in the comic book so far. So it's not like it's a Batman comic. It's a Gotham comic. It's a little bit more crime detective-y, and it has really weird parts in it. Like I said, evil spirit kind of things. There was a teacher who was teaching kids a backwards language, and you'd have to read to find out why. And like I said, the Spectre is a big part of it that Jim Corrigan is housing inside of him, and it's starting to eat away at his psyche, and he's wondering if the Spectre is choosing who dies, or if he actually himself is choosing who dies. And that's what the big investigation they're doing now in the comic book is really focusing on right now. And there was a huge turning point in the comic book, which just, it was so good, it blew my mind. And like I said, just if you're a fan of really good storylines and it's dark and sinister, it's only 9 issues in. You can easily get the other 8 and the annual that already came out. Mm-hmm. Very cheap, so it's a good time to start now if you're interested.
So it sounds like it's a book that has a really large cast, and they're making use of everyone. It's not like they just background scenery kind of stuff.
No, they're making use of every single person in here.
Okay, see that's a plus. I like it when a comic book has a really large cast to it. It's just, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of the time they somehow just start to narrow down on, like, these 3 people are the main characters, and they leave out, like, the other 58 or whatever.
Yeah, but everyone in here has a role to play, and everyone you can really tell. I mean, it does center a little bit more around Jim because he's more of a face. He's more of a character who people know already, so they kind of get around with him. There is a few callbacks to the Batman Eternal storyline that he was in with a Batwing, where they went to Arkham Manor and fought Deacon Blackfire, but it's like so minuscule that I barely even noticed it when they were talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen, and then Arkham Asylum fell into a hole, and that's why Arkham Manor was made, and blah 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 blah. But it's a very good comic. I'm enjoying it quite a lot.
Well, everyone does love the Gotham universe, and I for one am happy that it has become a universe and not just the Batman stuff. I like that kind of darker realm. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they don't ever seem to really blow up into universes when they're on the darker side like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but the Spider-Verse, I mean, I'm a big fan of Spider-Man, but that's not all that dark, and that's one of the ones that they have really gotten carried away with. Like, there are, oh god, there must be, so. Yeah, there's like 10, 11, 12 different series running in that thing. That's almost as bad as some of the other DC stuff that they're doing. By the way, Spider-Man's Marvel. I'm not a comic idiot, people. No, the DC stuff, the same thing. Like, they've blown up the Justice League universe is friggin' huge now, and they just, like, every character from it has its own little book.
Well, and they also have 3 Justice League actual comic books where they're all kind of working together. There's Justice League United,
right,
Justice League, and then there's JLA. And JLA just started. And already it's, like, completely confusing because there's so many characters, and they're trying to give each of them their own little storyline, so they're starting to pair people off and be like, okay, well, these 2 guys, Flash and Green Lantern go here, and Batman goes here, and Superman and Wonder Woman go here, and Cyborg and Shazam go here, and it's like, okay, go slow down, put them all in the same damn panel, and just go. Like, this is the
comic book's like 57 pages long, and it's literally 54 out of 57. It's just like characters flying off in different directions.
It's called the Justice League, not the Justice Pair. Come on, let's go.
Well, we're almost out of time, but before we go, I do kind of want to put a little bit of a spotlight on a comic I recently got into. Josh probably recognizes the title, although I'm not sure if he's read it. It's a series by Image Comics called Sex Criminals. Please don't take the name the wrong way. It's a pun, okay? It's not literal. You've heard of this one, right, Josh?
I think you talked about it in one of the rants already.
Did I talk about it already? I wanted to. I don't remember if I did or not.
I think it was like the second one. Well, anyways, go ahead.
Well, it's a fun little series. It is definitely not for kids. It is a mature comic. It does, center around some adult level thoughts and all that. But essentially, is this the 2 main characters are able to freeze time briefly whenever they have an orgasm, and it leads to some really weird and just kind of funny storylines. Like, they find out, like, as the story goes on, the 2 people that can do this find out that they're not the only ones, that there's a whole bunch of people that are able to do this, and even weirder still, there's a policing agency that is made up of nothing but people that can do this. And the reason why it's called Sex Criminals is because the 2 main characters start robbing banks when they freeze time. And they do it for a good cause, though. They're trying to get enough money together to save this small library. So it's not like this big, awesome, action-y comic or anything, but it is one that will make you smile and giggle at the weird, stupid situations. And I just wanted to mention it because it's only like 11 issues in, so it's only been running for about a year now, something like that.
Almost, yeah. They release one a month.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, you can get the trade paperbacks for it pretty easily, and that gets you all the way from 1 to 10 right there. So, plus it's an Image comic, so the first trade is only $10. Because I don't know why Image Comics does this with every trade, but I think it's freaking awesome because then you can get enough of a series to know whether or not you want to keep buying it. And I mean, if you go by the cover value, they're usually like $4 a shot. You usually get somewhere between like 5 or 6 in a trade. It weighs out to be a hell of a deal then, if you think about it. So, it's a dumb little series that I wanted to bring up, just in case anybody out there was looking for something goofy and kind of adult to read. The artwork's not bad. It's obviously digital done artwork. There's not, you don't see that really awesome hand touch kind of look to it, but it's still good artwork. And I think everyone should give it a try. It's Sex Criminals. It's an Image Comics series. It is on their website. You can check it out there. So, you know what, folks? That's been the rant. Josh, I think you should tell them about your channel, too, since we're still here.
Sure. My channel is called Jarsh's Opinion. I run my own podcast there where I actually review games fully. I kind of give a short synopsis on this one, so that's why I tried to do very in-depth ones. I have my Tony Hawk one in Jarshcast number 34. I'm thinking of actually putting reviews into their own categories. So after I review one on Jarshcast, I'll slice the audio and put its own little review on. So look forward to that. I also have 3-second reviews, short, sweet, to the point, about one word for each review, and people have been liking it so far. I've actually gotten back all the subscribers that left when I originally started uploading them, so that's nice. And of course, I guess I'm most famous for YouTube haikus. So if you don't know what those are, you can always check them out on my channel. There's complications of funny or interesting videos. I'll leave it to you, Rob.
Thank you, Josh, and please, people, go check out his channel. He's got some really cool stuff over there, and his reviews are quite thorough and excellent, so check him out. Don't forget to check out our other series as well. We have 5-minute reviews and verses, and we recently started doing live streaming on Saturdays of gameplay, so check us out there. This has been The Rant. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'd like to know what you think. Maybe we can bump up some areas and drop some other things off. We're The Rant, people. Have a good night.